straight back this time is Wilson. And he follows with a big left hand.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's fight at 140 pounds between the undefeated Mexican Olympian Lindolfo Delgado and the Dominican kid Elvis Rodriguez. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please like this video? Also, remember to subscribe. 80% of you guys who watch my content haven't hit the subscribe button yet. That'll really help me out. Also, go to the bottom of the screen right now and hit the bell notification button so you can be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, we have a busy weekend of fights. There's fight cards all over the world. This one takes place on the fight card in Las Vegas. This is the co-feature of the main event between Richard Torres Jr. and Guido Vianello. So in this video, we're gonna break down both fighters' careers, what they've been up to, what's at stake in this fight. We know the 140-pound division has a lot of fighters. It's really top-heavy as well. The champions currently are Teofimo Lopez, Richardson Hitchens, Alberto Puello, and Gary Antoine Russell. So this is what I call a do-or-die fight for guys that one has the sparkly, shiny record, never lost, and the other only has one loss. And you would think, well, in this day and age of boxing, how is this a must-win? Well, these guys want to fight for titles. One's already 30 years old, one's 29 years old. With Elvis Rodriguez, we're talking about a flashy southpaw from the Dominican Republic. It was only a few years ago where people were talking about him as a potential world champion. Now, he has one loss to Kenneth Sims Jr., and he's trying to get back on that superstardom track, that trajectory where social media is talking about you, where your fight highlights are going viral. And that's what I mean by must-win for both guys. With the Mexican Lindolfo Delgado undefeated, he's going to go in there and want to prove a point. The Orthodox fighter is going to press the action and also want to create a highlight reel which goes viral. And you got to think whoever comes out on top is going to put themselves in a position for a world title fight. So right now, let's remind everybody what's at stake this Saturday night in Las Vegas. Guys, Elvis Rodriguez is fighting Lindolfo Delgado on Saturday night in Vegas. He points to his experience as the X factor for how he plans on winning. It's what I spoke about yesterday in my breakdown of the Abdullah Mason fight when I talked about how Mason getting knocked down is a good thing moving forward, considering he overcame that adversity in the fight and won via knockout. And this is what the Dominican is referring to as well, his experience of knowing how to overcome adversity in relation to the Mexican having never lost. Rodriguez is 17-1-1 with 13 knockouts and was on top of the world in 2021. He was doing a guitar dance after his knockout victory in homage to Elvis Presley and looked to be a future main event fighter at junior welterweight. Then he lost to Kenneth Sims Jr. in 2021. Rodriguez, a 29-year-old from the Dominican Republic, has won 6 straight fights since, but hasn't had that same excitement he garnered during that run. And I quote, "I dealt with the loss. I got over it and I got better. So rather than an advantage, I would say that it gives me a lot of experience," Rodriguez said. "We've worked very hard and intelligently, and thank God at Wildcard Boxing, there's always good sparring." Rodriguez trains with Freddie Roach and Marvin Zamudio at Wildcard Boxing Gym in Hollywood, California. The bout is the most consequential fight of Rodriguez's career. Rodriguez, like most fighters, sees himself as the top guy in the division. "I fought better opponents than my opponents Saturday night," Rodriguez added. "I see myself as the best fighter at 140 pounds. I'm going to demonstrate that, and it's going to open doors to face even better opposition." The Mexican, Lindolfo Delgado, who's 22-0 with 16 knockouts, is a former Olympian dating back to 2016. He's looking to propel himself into the mix of a title shot as well. In December, Delgado stopped Jackson Marinez via knockout. He has stopped 3 out of his last 4 opponents, with the exception being a split decision win over Brian Flores. He's the bout as a potential title eliminator. And I quote, "I think this fight will open doors. I think it could open the doors for a title eliminator fight or a world title shot." And this is exactly what I mean. Combined, these guys only have 1 loss. Both guys are representing whole countries. We love to see a Mexican versus Dominican Republic fight. It's going to be Orthodox versus Southpaw. Right now, I want to take a closer look at the Dominican kid's resume, see what Rodriguez has been up to. Guys, Elvis Rodriguez is 17-1-1. He has 13 knockouts and carries into the ring a 77% career knockout to win ratio. Out of 2,660 140-pound fighters in the world, he is ranked number 22. The 29-year-old Dominican is a southpaw standing at 5'10", with a 71-inch reach, and his adoring fans call him the Dominican Kid. He hails from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. We last saw him fight Kendo Castaneda, 21-6, UD in the 10th. Gino Rodrigo, 12-3, UD in the 10th. Victor Postal, 31-4, knockout in the 7th. Adorno, 17-1, majority decision in the 10th. Velasco, 23-2, knockout in the 7th. So we talked about what he's done since his only loss to Sims Jr. He's 6-0. We have to remember, though, just last weekend we featured Kendo Tremendo on the channel. He was fighting Tiger Johnson, and we saw what happened to Castaneda. He got knocked out. So when we talk about, and the writers are writing about how Rodriguez is trying to get back to those highlights, this is what I mean. He fought Kendo Castaneda to a decision. So you gotta think he's going into this fight to prove a point. He has an opportunity against an undefeated fighter. He has an opportunity against an Olympian, and he also has an opportunity to show out. It's gonna be a tough fight. Both guys aren't gonna be taking too many steps backwards, and both guys are looking at this fight to propel them to the next level. Now let's take a closer look at his opponent, the Mexican Olympian and undefeated contender, Lindolfo Delgado. Guys, Delgado's 22-0 with 16 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 73% career knockout to win ratio, and out of 2,660 140-pound fighters in the world, he's ranked number 15. The Mexican is an orthodox fighter standing at 5'9", and the 30-year-old has a 68-inch reach. He hails from Linares, Nuevo Leon, Mexico. We last saw him fight Jackson Marinus, 22-3, knockout in the 5th. Brian Flores was undefeated. He beat him via split decision in the 10th. Carlos Sanchez, 25-2, knockout in the 7th. Luis Ramos, 23-3, knockout in the 4th. Valtieri, 16-2, UD in the 10th. When I think about fighters at the stage of both guys' careers, one's 29, one just turned 30. They've never fought for a world title. They both talk about how this could be a world title contender fight. You got to think this is the biggest step up in both of their careers. You have one in the Dominican saying that he's fought better opponents, and you have Delgado, the Mexican, talking about the biggest moment in his life is right now. So we have to think they're both going to come in shape. They're both going to be at their best. And I think this is going to be a treat for fight fans. It's one of the fights that I've been most looking forward to, not only on this card, but all the fights this weekend. When I look at the guys side by side, a lot of things cancel out. Their height, the Dominican's going to have a slight reach advantage. When you look at the styles and stances, orthodox versus southpaw, the Dominican's going to be the southpaw. It's going to come down to the center of the ring in terms of who controls their lead foot. Which one is going to walk their opponent into their backhand, their power side. And both guys are going to be looking to land power shots and want to get a knockout. Right now, I want to take a closer look at what Las Vegas has these odds. And guys, it's not quite a coin flip, but it's close. All right, remember, I'm using the Sports Bet app down here in Sydney, Australia. The odds currently are only letting us bet on the money line. There aren't any prop bets up or method of victory, so I can't pick decision. I can't pick knockout. I just have to pick one to win. If that changes as we get closer to fight night, pay attention to the community section on our channel, and I'll update you on what I'm going to put on my parlay like always. I do this every week. All right, guys, $100 on Delgado to win gets you 72 back. $100 on Rodriguez to win gets you 225 back. So Elvis Rodriguez is the slight underdog. If you think that this fight's going to go to a draw, 17-1. Now, when I'm thinking about price per value, this is a great fight to put a lot of money on and just pick a winner. I know some of you guys are heavy hitters. You guys message me on Instagram. I'm not going to say any names, but I'm impressed and I admire how you guys bet. I have a guy who he'll put $15,000 on just one fight, and it'll be a fight with the odds similar to this, rather than put 5-6 fights on a parlay. Now, I'm not gambling to get rich. I gamble for the entertainment value, and I also gamble to keep me up to date on what's happening on the fight cards, as well as to give you guys an insight on where to put your money at. That's like what we always talk about. So if you want to put this on a parlay, it adds value to that. If you have money to spend, it also has value to that with the less stress of needing other fights to come through. So when I'm thinking about putting my money on, based on their experience, based on the styles, the moment, what's at stake, I'm going to go all in on the Mexican Orthodox Olympian, Lindolfo Delgado. I feel he has a little bit more spark right now in terms of where he's going in his career. Hey, look, I could be wrong. This is just a coin flip. I like the Dominican. I like the southpaw. It just comes down to the psychology and the style and the risk-taking of this fight. I think Lindolfo Delgado is going to be pushing the pace more. I think his arsenal is going to be a bit too much, and I think having that, once again, I always talk about Olympic pedigree. When things go wrong in the fight, in terms of making on-the-moment adjustments, I got to give it to the guy with the Olympic experience. You can't talk about enough about the discipline, the strategy, and the fight IQ of a fighter who makes it all the way to represent their country, becomes a pro, especially a knockout artist who's undefeated with a 73% career knockout to ratio. So I'm putting all in on the Mexican. I think that he's going to beat the Dominican fighter and continue on his push to fight for a world title. In the comment section below, you don't have to agree with me. How do you see this fight going? Is it going to be the Dominican, the southpaw, in Elvis Rodriguez? Will we be seeing him playing the guitar? Or will it be the Mexican Delgado continuing on his streak to becoming a world champion? Let me know. Also, guys, if you haven't seen my breakdown of the fight on this card between Abdullah Mason and Carlos Ornelas, stay tuned to the channel because that's coming up right now.